What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. I wasn't planning to take a whole day to talk about the Marvel Legends HasLab Engine of Vengeance. I had a screaming mad migraine yesterday, which meant I could do absolutely nothing. But now I've had a little bit of time to think about this project, break down some of the value compared to some other crowdfunding projects, and see if it's really worth this $350 price tag. So first up, I think was a really huge surprise. This is 350, but it needs 9,000 backers. That is a lot. That's more than we've seen from any of the previous crowdfunding projects so far. That's kind of interesting. I guess the Marvel Legends team thinks they can swing this, but it still feels like it's way too much. So for $350, we get Robbie Reyes in Ghost Rider mode. You gotta have a Ghost Rider figure with this Ghost Rider thing, because who in the world released a Ghost Rider figure without his vehicle? So we get this Hellcharger, and it's a cool muscle car. I really love the fact that it comes with swappable parts without a tier, so you can take off all of the flame elements, the flame, tires, exhaust, the engine, and just have a standard muscle car. So if someone out there wants to make one of my figure wishes come true and release a Fast and Furious series, I can put a Dominic Toretto with a muscle car and have him going, this is for La Familia. So I really think that's cool, and I really think they did a really solid deal not making that an extra tier. Because we saw that with the His Tank, where there were parts where it's like, come on guys, this should just be part of the standard option so we can get more figures in there. But this one is really cool. I think that is definitely the highlight of this presentation. They've also taken a page from other HasLab projects and decided to throw in an early bird special. So if within a week's time this project goes and gets this full 9,000 backers, which seems a little bit steep, we're going to get a Robbie Reyes figure as well. And this Robbie Reyes figure, of course, is just a civilian head sculpt. Looks good. Comes with a little hoodie, maybe some gloves. Shoes are a little bit different, but not too huge a different figure from that Ghost Rider. And I think that's appropriate. That's fine. But I don't necessarily like the fact that this is an early bird, especially since they're raising the ceiling on how many backers they need to accomplish this within a week. I do think the timing on this HasLab is really good. There's nothing on the horizon right now. PulseCon is still a few weeks down the road, so it's not like, oh my gosh, I need to get this Serpentor, this Mandalorian rescue set. Screw the HasLab Marvel Legend project. I have more priorities here. So I think that's really good. If you budget it, you plan it out, you can get it right now, and there's no problem. But I do think there are some issues with this. Shocking, surprising. I know this is what I do, poke fun and mess around with all the flaws with Marvel Legends. I really wish I didn't have to, but that's just how it is these days. So I look back, the HasLab Sentinel, and that sucker was huge. It was massive. You saw the work that was put into it. It's very obvious. So for $350, even 2 years ago, that didn't seem like a bad value. They threw in a couple other figures, threw in some different head parts for the Sentinel, and it felt like, okay, this is a pretty decent deal. Now, we didn't know at the time that it was going to have a sneaky added feature of janky knees, so you needed to screw them and fix them yourself. But that Sentinel looked really impressive. And that figure that project only needed 6,000 backers. So that's a lot of backers that have raised the ceiling in the last few years, because I think 6,000 for Robbie Reyes and the Ghost Rider set would be just fine, but 9,000 seems like it's asking a whole lot. But then I was like, this price tag seems to be excessive for a car. And I was thinking, I go to stores, I go to Target, I see Walmart, I see these WWE figures. And not to say that this is the same scale, of course, but you see they have these cars, and 6-inch scale cars, ambulances, dump trucks, wrecking ball sets. I mean, they're doing vehicles, and they're affordable. They're on shelves at retail, and these cars maybe $30. So you can go, okay, let's say Hasbro puts in some serious work. Now let's just say instead of $30, we'll quadruple that. We'll say $120. I think that seems to be more in line with what you would expect, what I expect to pay for a 6-inch scale vehicle. Because It's a car. We don't need it to do all this other fancy bells and whistles. Sure, the LED elements are cool, but really, I think like with all the other Ghost Rider vehicles, bikes we've gotten in the past, just the flame effect on the tires is really all we need for our display. I know some great photographers out there know how to angle those lights to get that LED look in there anyway, but this HasLab is including it. And I think that's adding a whole lot to this price tag, and I don't know if we all necessarily want it. Now, when they were going through the video and breaking it down, inside the canopy, there's a little light that kind of shines to illuminate Robbie's head. But I'm like, okay, that's cool, but is this really necessary and really needed for this thing? Especially when you see these WWE vehicles clocking in at $30. I could take a $120 Ghost Rider vehicle and be just fine. Then I went even further with it. I was thinking, well, let's break these down. How much is the value of these vehicles, these super scale vehicles for 6-inch, 7-inch, even 12-inch? So I looked even further, and I looked at Super 7's Thunder Tank, and that costs $475. The average Thundercats figure is around $55. So you're paying 9 times the amount. 9 times if you're a Ferris Bueller fan. You're paying 9 times the amount of a regular Thundercats figure for this Thunder Tank. And it's like, okay. I know a lot of us were like, whoa, that's way too much. It has some cool little features to it. I still think $500 is a little excessive for it, but given the price point of those figures, it's like, okay. And then the 9-time escalator for it is like, oh, okay, whatever. Then I decided to look to the masters of the super scale vehicles, the super scale figures, the incredible likeness, etc. with Hot Toys. And this might not seem like a fair comparison, a $350 HasLab, Hasbro project, to a super top-end 12-inch line figure line like Hot Toys, but it's a strange comparison that actually works in Hot Toys' favor. So I looked at the Hot Toys Batmobile, and that costs $630. I know, whoa. But then the Batman that you can get right now, you can get on the wait list and get it, it's $255. So do that quick division, you're only paying 2.4 times the amount of the Batman to get this Batmobile. So you got your 12-inch Batman, you got your 12-inch scale Batmobile, but you're not paying a super multiple just to get it. And I think that's clearly a better deal than the Thunder Tank and the Thundercats figure. And it's kind of like, okay, I've got my super detailed Batman. I can put him in this bad boy, and here we go. And I see all that detail that Hot Toys put in this thing, and it's like, okay, maybe I don't want to spend $630, but I see the effort that you put into this to make it worth that price tag. Continuing on with Hot Toys, I decided to look at their Hot Toys DeLorean from Back to the Future. Now this is super expensive. This is $825, but it's got all kinds of LED lights. It's got a stand so you can make it simulate like it's flying in the air. It's got an open canopy like that cool shot from every Back to the Future diorama you want to do, of Marty checking his watch, the door opening. That thing also has a bunch of LEDs. So it's it's kind of factoring in that with the price tag of $825. Then you factor in the Hot Toys Marty McFly figure, and he's a lot more expensive. He's $285. That still only makes the DeLorean 3 times as much as a regular Back to the Future figure. So we've got this kind of Hot Toys ceiling where they're not going beyond 5 times as much as a figure to get a cool vehicle. And when you look at DeLorean, and when you look at the Batmobile, you see some really high-end vehicles. So then when I'm going, all right, well, hey, I want to get a WWE vehicle to put my Rock into a car, or my Eddie Guerrero into a car, and I'm paying $10 more than the regular figure, or the same price as the Ultimate Edition figure. Not a bad deal. Now, you consider you're not going to go to Walmart, you're not going to go to Target, you're not going to go to GameStop and find a Hot Toys figure, but you can find Marvel Legends. Maybe a lot overpriced, but you can find them there. So then I said, well, hey, what is the Marvel Legends price with this Hell's Engine? Or the Engine of Vengeance project. So let's say a regular Marvel Legends figure at this point is $25. Crazy. And with the $350 price tag, you're paying 14 times the cost of a regular Marvel Legends figure for the HasLab. And then you go, hey Jeff, whoa. What about that G.I. Joe Classified Series, his tank? That sucker was $339, so that would still be 15 times the amount of a regular G.I. Joe Classified Series. And I would go, this is true. But the difference is, vehicles are a significant part of a G.I. Joe experience. And this was Hasbro's first foray into making vehicles. We all want more vehicles for our G.I. Joe line, and it was kind of the cost of doing business in this sense, because it's like, we want more vehicles. Hasbro's done their Marvel Legends line long enough to know that everything is fair game and going to work. And I really think that they could have charged $250 for this. And I feel like that would have been a price where a lot of collectors have been like, it's kind of expensive, but for a basic car, I'll take it. And when you also compare the his tank to this Engine of Vengeance, this tank is a lot more complicated. It also has LED. It's got an opening so you can put a figure in the back. It's got room for multiple figures. And they included all these different bells and whistles. We know that the HasLab project is going to have more figures, including Mephisto. But I'm kind of thinking a basic car, doesn't need to cost as much as a supersized tank. And I kind of feel like that's the problem with this Engine of Vengeance. It's a car. There's nothing too sophisticated to it beyond those swappable parts that, again, I don't know how many collectors are really like, oh man, if only you guys had made it with a powered down version, because otherwise it sucks. I feel like everyone's going to have it with the fire, with the flame effects on there. That's all we really needed. And maybe one or two battery operated LED sections, maybe not the whole thing, but for $350, that seems like an excessive amount, especially when you compare how much more you're paying from a standard Marvel Legends figure to get this HasLab. And you can look at Galactus and go, well, he was even more expensive. So that meant you were paying about 20 times as much as a regular Marvel Legends figure. And I'd say, yeah, that's true. But with Galactus, again, it was a case of all these complicated joints. It wasn't a lot of reuse, of course, because they don't do these size figures every week. But he had all kinds of articulation, faceplates. I mean, there was some real ingenuity shown with Galactus. And I don't feel like we're really seeing with the Engine of Vengeance. It's still a car. And as much as Hasbro was showing these cool different views and angles, there's only so much they could do to be like, check it out. And now it's fired up. And now it's not. Like, that's it. It's got two modes. Powered up, powered off. You got Ghost Rider, and he's got some tools, and great. Galactus came with 3 heralds, and I know we're going to get 3 more figures. We're going to get Mephisto, and one of my commentators here said we're going to get Goblin Queen as well. I think that's unfortunate because I would really want a Goblin Queen, even though she has 0 affiliation with Ghost Rider. But I just don't see this value here. And, of course, like my boy Chuck will say, you don't have to buy it. And I'm not going to buy it, but I kind of feel like for $250 with 9,000 backers, Hasbro probably would have seen this hit already. At $350 is still this whole hesitation for people who've been burned with the packages not matching up with the figures, bad paints, figures not being in the windowless packages anymore. And it's like, wait, I didn't ask for this scroll. I asked for a Captain America. What are you guys doing? So Hasbro has some making up to do with the collector community with their Marvel Legends line. I don't know if this necessarily gets the job done. Again, it's got 3,517 backers as of Saturday night. So it seems like it's going to go through, probably hit that early bird mark so people can get that Robbie Reyes. But I still keep feeling like Hasbro can do a better job providing a better value for us with our money. Just to be like, hey guys, let's do this. I feel like $350 was a nice ceiling for a Quinjet. That would have been something I would have been really excited about. I'm like, yes, I want it. But $350 for a car really makes me scared and kind of apprehensive about the possibility of a Blackbird, of a Quinjet, because that's going to be $500. And it's like, no. So I think the problem is they set this high ceiling for a car when there's so many other vehicles. There's a fantastic car that could have been $350 because it has detachable parts. You can spread it out to 4 sections. Okay, maybe that's worth it. And it lights up to a Quinjet, and that's really cool. A Blackbird, oh man, that's cool. But I don't see what those prices would be to be the same amount as this Hellcharger. So really upset about that because I think it caps what we can get. Maybe next time we'll get a Punisher van, and then we'll just scour around the internet to find a 6-inch scale van that works just as well. I feel like a lot of collectors already did that, but we'll see. Let me know what you think about this project. Do you think it's well worth the money? Or are you kind of like, sorry guys, you've burned me one time too many. Yes, that was a Ghost Rider pun, and I'm not buying it. So, whatever. But let me know what you think. And as always, thank you so much for watching. This episode of Loud's Figure Files has been filed.